Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what is up? Happy Monday to you, my friends. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis from Behind the Steel Curtain. Along with me, as always, celebrating this Monday after, what was it? 4th of July weekend, Independence Day weekend. I almost said Memorial and Labor Day.
That's right.
It's Tony Defeo.
Hey, Bryan. I need some rain. Please bring some rain to Pittsburgh. I can't take it anymore. There's 95 degrees every day. I need some water. Okay, sorry.
Well, to quote the great Phil Collins, I wish it would rain down on me here. Rain, rain, rain down on me. Okay, yesterday on my show, I did the show solo. And I was told to quit embarrassing myself from singing. And so that's going to make me sing it even more because, of course, our BTSC nation just came out in droves to support my lousy singing. They agree that it's lousy, but they support me.
I support it, too, especially if it brings rain. If it's a rain song, I'll take it.
It's there's some great rain songs, and we're going to have to hold on to that because we are not – of course, it's not the after party because that's a Thursday night thing, but we are going to follow up this show with another one, and we will go ahead and do that after this show, and it's going to be the Steeler Retro Show where we go back in time and talk about some fun old Steeler stuff, and we had a lot of fun with it last week. We thought it would be a short show and ran almost an hour because it was great remembering these guys, so we're going to do that again, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. So Shaner Smith in the house says, hi, Bad and Tony. Steelers territory, Louisiana Purchase. That's awesome. I love that name. That might not be new, but it's new to me. Our buddy, Dennis Sheridan. What's up, yo? Says Dennis.
All right.
So Dennis has got to be happy now that we have Michael Beck on the show, a fellow Vancouver Canuck fan. So there you go. I'm repping hockey today. I'm going old school Winter Classic. Evgeny Malkin. Dave Shipley says, what's up? Dean McCrae. Hello from Tampa, home of the only important Steelers game this year. And Super Bowl 55. That'd be awesome. Dean, I'll make it down. So you're going to have to make some room in the basement for Bad and Tony when the Steelers are in that Super Bowl. Eric G. Hey, guys. First time making a live show. Been watching for years. It's Mike Smith.
All right.
Shaner Smith. Now, Shaner, I did not know this. Altoona, PA. The 814. I grew up in the 814 as well in Johnstown. Shaner, if you don't know that, I'm a Richland Ram. And there you go. Mike Smith, theme song for the show. You know what? We used to be able to do Renegade for the theme song. Now we can't play music on the show because then YouTube says, no soup for you. No money. So I'm not allowed to play stuff. Dave and I were playing stuff a little while. It was fun. Did Tony get a haircut? Says Nathaniel Zarate. Sean Manahan wants to go back in time. Well, we will go back in time just like Huey Lewis in the news. And Huey Lewis's 70th birthday was yesterday. Did you know that, Tony?
Wow. Yeah, no. I guess it makes sense because I remember him saying he was 30 years old and wondering if his band would ever make it. And that was back in 1980. So, wow, I can't believe he's that old.
My musical hero. I've seen Huey Lewis in concert 5 times. The last time, got backstage, finally got to meet Huey Lewis. And of all things, he hits on my wife and was the most glorious thing in the world. I was so proud. Well, granted, she was the youngest and prettiest in the room because everyone else was 80. Not quite 80, but you know what I'm saying. But, I go up, I shake hands with him. And then my wife goes up and I step aside and he goes, hi, I'm Huey. It's like she knows who you are, dude.
Hey, if I was Huey Lewis, I'd be using that too.
Yeah. So 70 years old for Huey, and the big birthday yesterday. I talked about it a little bit. American Top 40 turned 50 yesterday, and Casey Kasem is also my musical hero, and so Casey, may rest in peace. He was gone the same weekend as Chuck Noll at the same age, back in 2014. Yeah, it broke my heart. Something I'm going to bring up before we get started, and I am glad that Snowman said it. Charlie Daniels passed away today. He was 83. Great. Devil Went Down.
Yep.
Devil Went Down into Georgia. Great. One of the greatest songs.
Yeah.
That banjo solo. But what does Charlie Daniels and the Pittsburgh Steelers have in common? Do you know this?
I do not know.
So you need to go on iTunes. You need to look up a 1980 song. It was a top 20 song from Charlie Daniels Band called In America. And that's where you hear there's a line in the song, don't ever lay your hands on a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Charlie Daniels.
Said that.
Yep. It's in that song.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Charlie Daniels, gone at 83. May you rest in peace. Definitely a country music Hall of Famer. I consider him a rocker. I always considered him just a rock. He'd be a rock and roll Hall of Famer in my mind. That guy was great. Lance asked if he's related to Jack. So Lance might not be. Come on, Lance, you've got to know Devil Went Down to Georgia.
That's all I know him by. That's I know that song. I mean, that's all I know about him, but I know that song for sure.
Me, you, and Lance are all the same age, so
yeah.
So that was around 79. So that's awesome. I wish we could play music on that show. That would be great. We got to get into the topic, but before we do so, let's bring up Bryan O'Toole. This is a big deal. Mahomes' contract is crazy. No human is worth that kind of money. Did the Chiefs handcuff themselves for forever now? This is about a $400 million deal. 10 years. No salary cap for you, Kansas City, ever again.
Yeah. That's the reality of having a quarterback like that. I mean, we've talked about for years how Ben's salary kind of, made them budget their themselves. And look what happened with the Ravens when they signed Joe Flacco. I mean, you have to keep those guys. I mean, they're so integral to your success. But once you do, forget it. Forget as far as you have to find inventive ways to build the rest of your roster.
Mahomes is an IPA, and I'm not a beer drinker, so I really don't know. Mahomes is an IPA. Well, Flacco's Milwaukee's best.
Right.
So he's the beast, or whatever you call it. Or he is Mahomes is a fine wine, and Flacco to me is more like Mad Dog 2020 or Boone's Farm. So my wife would come in and say, "I love Boone's Farm." So,
no, he just had the greatest playoff run at the right time, right as he was becoming a free agent. That's what got him that money. I'm talking about Joe Flacco.
It's going to be hard to kick that can down the road, though, isn't it? For Mahomes.
Oh, it's going to be hard. But I meant Flacco. Like, he had that great playoff run in 2012, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions, and
he still got lucky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He got lucky. That's what I mean. But at the time, they thought, okay, this is going to be our franchise guy for the next decade. But it turns out maybe he lasted a couple more years, and that was it.
Might have been the angriest I have ever been at a non-Steeler playoff loss.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was so angry. I wasn't even as angry when they won the Super Bowl. I refused to watch them win the Super. I mean, I watched it, but when it was like 5 seconds, I got out of there. I couldn't watch it. So there you go. And this might have. I mean, the reason we bring up the Pat Mahomes deal, it's big time, and you'll see some stuff on the site, but it's. You got to look at, we have a huge superstar that we're going to be needing to sign soon, and it's TJ Watt. And also other big contracts like Minka Fitzpatrick and maybe Juju Smith-Schuster. And there's a lot of guys that need deals. Cam needs a deal. But TJ's going to be superstar status, I believe. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes too. Seth Bell says, "What's up, fam? My two favorite podcast hosts at BTSC. That's awesome. You guys are the best." Thank you so much, Seth.
Thank you,
Tony.
Seth. Yes, sir.
This is how popular you are. We had Jordan Dangerfield on the other day, and we're getting some great downloads from that. It was a great interview. Jordan Dangerfield is such a great guy, and really interesting. His story's awesome. But everybody wanted to know, wait a second, this is 12 o'clock on Saturday. Where's Tony? They're like, where's Tony? And everybody and I got messages. What happened to Saturday brunch?
Well, in fairness to BTSC and Bryan did call me last week and asked me if I wanted to interview Jordan Dangerfield, but I just chickened out. I'm still getting used to doing my own show and being comfortable doing that. So when he said, "Oh, you want to help interview him?" I said, "I don't even know what I would ask him."
It's just like talking to a buddy, Tony. That's all it is. I'm not calling you out. I'm definitely not calling you out.
Oh, no. I called myself out. I called myself out. Yeah.
That's how beloved you are, my friend. That's it. Speaking of beloved, one of the greatest Pittsburgh Steelers in recent history would have to be number 53, center Maurkice Pouncey. And I think people loved him even more when he was swinging at Myles Garrett last year. November 14th in that fiasco in that mistake by the lake with Mason Rudolph and Larry Ogbonjubi. Larry Ogbonjovi. I don't know what his name is, but we love Maurkice Pouncey, number 1 pick in 2010. And it's funny, they have 3 of the top 18 picks in that 2010 draft. Being Tyson Alualu, who went number 10. Number 7 was Joe Hayden. And then at number 18, I believe it was 18. Was it 17 or 18? I think it was 18. Maurkice went at number 18.
Yeah, 18.
And, just a fantastic, and they're still paying dividends from that draft, even though they didn't draft Alualu and Hayden, but they're getting, I think they're getting the better years out of Alualu than Jacksonville did.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, they're not getting all-pro years like Cleveland did, but it's going to pay off more in Pittsburgh as far as I'm concerned. He was mentioned, too. Ezra says, out of Florida, best center of the decade. And Maurkice Pouncey was mentioned as the best draft pick to ever come from the University of Florida in recent years. I mean, that could very well be debated. But he's fantastic. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, Tony. Ben goes down last year, and when Ben goes down, everything's in flux.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a mess. The running game suffers. The offensive line suffered. Of course, the passing game and the receiving stable, no one did well. And you're really, and think about it, Juju, everybody was thrown on the fact, well, he's not a wide receiver number 1, but really never got a chance to be because he wasn't paired up with Ben. And I know that's an excuse. Everyone's saying if you're a number 1 wide receiver, that you should be that number 1 wide receiver with whoever the quarterback is. But remember, Antonio Brown was not a number 1 receiver with Michael Vick or Landry Jones. Mm-hmm. He wasn't. Right. And so I really think who your quarterback is has a lot to do with it.
Big deal.
So, what I'm saying here is Maurkice Pouncey had a really bad year. I thought he still got four All-Pro votes.
Yeah.
He still got voted to the Pro Bowl.
Right.
That's my question to you first. Getting those votes, were those votes on reputation, Tony?
As far as last year, yeah. I don't think it was his best year at all. And even just snapping the ball back in the shotgun. I mean, we saw how erratic he was on way more than one occasion. So it wasn't a great year. And as you see with especially a lot of offensive linemen, when they get later in their career, they do get voted to the Pro Bowl on reputation. I think last year was definitely an example of somebody who probably didn't deserve to be in the Pro Bowl, being in the Pro Bowl.
He didn't go. Neither did DeCastro.
Yeah, they opted out.
Yeah, first time there wasn't a skill position player voted, which they're not skill position players, but a skill position player on offense, not voted. And then no offensive players were there last year. Plenty of defensive action there too last year. So that was nice. But here's the thing. People are talking about how Ben makes receivers. Dave Shipley just said that. People were talking about how, of course, Ben makes the running game go better if the receivers are going better. How much of a correlation do you think it is with the entire offensive line? I know the fingers got pointed at Pouncey because he's pretty much the captain of that offensive line. And fingers were pointed at him. But my question to you, Tony Defeo, is this. Is the fact that those snaps were erratic, was it more because of like cadence, timing with your quarterback? I mean, dealing with basically a rookie, even though he wasn't in Mason Rudolph. He was a second-year man, but it was first time out there, really. And dealing with Duck Hodges, who basically had no experience. So you think the timing was off, and maybe last year, even with Maurkice Pouncey, is just an aberration?
I don't know what to attribute the snaps to. I mean, cadence, no matter what the cadence is, I mean, you still just have, it's a skill to snap the ball back, to get it where it's supposed to go and to be on target with it. So I don't know why he was off, unless there was an unknown injury that we're not aware of. I don't know what to attribute that to. That was really bizarre to see him, a Pro Bowl center, an All-Pro center, be that off target with so many of his shotgun snaps. And for as much as they run their offense out of the shotgun, that was pretty alarming. And it sure as heck didn't help the rhythm of the offense. I can tell you that.
The only reason I'm bringing this up, and let me bring this up first, Pouncey keeps going on every play, says Ryan O'Toole, no matter how long it takes until the whistle. Love that. A lot of centers never end up 15 yards downfield. That's why I love Maurkice Pouncey. Maurkice Pouncey is a warrior. I love this guy. I'm treating last year, 2019, including Maurkice Pouncey, including Juju Smith-Schuster, as an absolute aberration. I think that Pouncey has not lost it, but a lot of people think so. I think Pouncey is going to come back and have a great season. I'm curious to think about what everybody else says. A lot of people wanted a center. They were talking about that kid that ended up going, the kid from Michigan, Cesar Ruiz, that ended up going to the Kansas City Chiefs. And, they were talking about that guy as maybe bring him in. A lot of people were ready to say goodbye to the future Hall of Famer, in my mind. I'm not ready to do that yet. So I'm not saying that he's done, but one thing that doesn't lie is being ranked 36 out of 36 centers. Now, I know there's only 32 starting centers in the league, but with injuries and with stats, that's a Pro Football Focus stat. So that's PFF saying that he's 36 out of 36. Right. So that's an indictment to something. So what do you think about that ranking, Tony?
I don't know. They've never given him a whole lot of love. So, but 36 out of 36, I think that's kind of ridiculous on their part. I know they're a reputable site, but I don't agree with that. And like a good friend of mine pointed out to me last week, so many of these and maybe he's wrong, I don't know, but so many of these offensive linemen, they get better grades for doing less. And as somebody mentioned in the live chat, he's such an athletic center, and he goes on every play, and he goes 100% on every play. And I don't know how many times over the years I've remarked, and people I've watched the games with remarked at him running, basically being an escort for a running back 20, 30 yards down the field. Not too many centers are that athletic and have that kind of intensity. So, I think his sometimes his grades are because he does more than other people at his position can do, and I think he gets unfairly graded because of that. Okay,
Ryan O'Toole says those rankings are so all over the place, and I get that. So let's do this. Let's do our own rankings, and let's forget about the rest of the NFL. We're calling him a future Hall of Famer. Tony, are you agreeing with me on that? Is Maurkice Pouncey a future Hall of Famer?
He's absolutely a future Hall of Famer. I mean, he's made the Pro Bowl every year that he hasn't been injured. I mean, he missed a couple of seasons a good part of a couple of seasons due to injury. I think 2013 and 2015, they were kind of sandwiched in between 2014 seasons that he missed. But other than that, he's been pretty durable, and he's made the Pro Bowl every year. And as we talked about before, last year was probably based on reputation, but overall, I mean, his overall resume screams Hall of Fame.
Yes, 10 seasons, 8 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pros. 2013 was that, Green Bay Packers fan talk about the horrible game when Jordy Nelson went down. No, that was in Pittsburgh. That was the horrible game when Maurkice Pouncey went down for the year. Right. It was a preseason game, number 2. I was having my fantasy football draft, and of course I can't get Pouncey, but I was about to pick up Jordy Nelson, and then I saw that. I'm like, ooh, That's out the door because we were early on in the draft. But so 2013, he did not go, and that's it. I'm looking at it right now. So in 2010, 11, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So 15, he was out for the year as well. So I bet you, I'm sorry, that injury was in 2015. 2013, right. And I'm not looking at the live chat right now. Somebody might have already corrected me, but 2013 was the opening game against Tennessee, right, when they ended up going 0-4 to start that season when he went out in that game. And we ended up with Fernando Velasco and Cody Wallace putting some action on the line. Actually, Cody Wallace was more 2015, the starter. Fernando was 2013. They performed ably, but they just weren't. Right. They just weren't Maurkice Pouncey. And here's a question too. 2015 was a big season for the Steelers, and they got ripped off against Denver in that AFC divisional game in 2015. Look at the guys that they were without. They were without D'Angelo Williams and Le'Veon Bell. They were both of those guys.
Yep.
They were without Antonio Brown, no Richard Gummies, no Maurkice Pouncey. Right. Imagine if you're at full strength with that team.
Yeah, and they were a fumble away from winning that game against Denver.
Yeah, but you know what? Fitz-Toussaint fumbles, and he played admirably. So did Jordan Todman. But the guy, I was so mad that Peyton Manning's down. He's down. He gets up and he runs for a first down. But he was down.
Yeah, he gave himself up.
It was the craziest thing. I mean, we're like, that's going to be overturned. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, I'm getting a sinking feeling that this is home cooking, or we need Peyton to get a ring in Denver. And that's kind of the way it felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Maurkice Pouncey, as far as I'm concerned, I think the entire line is going to be rejuvenated this year with Ben back. And that's not an indictment on the line under Mason and under Devlin, but I'm just saying I think the entire team goes on the upswing. I think you see a rejuvenated Pouncey, a rejuvenated Villanueva. Matt Filer's, Matt Filer, I think, is a guy that we're talking about years from now, not as a Hall of Famer, but as a guy that one of those great underrated guys. I think he's going to be one of those guys that we just absolutely love. And then, of course, then DeCastro is DeCastro. DeCastro is a future Hall of Famer. So what we were going to do earlier, before I just started yammering and I started talking. So let's rank the greatest centers in Pittsburgh Steelers history. Now, I think I know who's number one, but other people might be different here. So you've got Jeff Hardings, you've got Maurkice Pouncey, of course you've got Iron Mike, and then Dirt Dawson. You've got two Hall of Famers there. Maybe another future Hall of Famer in Pouncey. I'm not sure about Hardings. I don't think Hardings ends up going, but Hardings was amazing when he came over from the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Penn State alum. So let's rank those guys.
You want me to rank them?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up watching Dawson. I was actually kind of grew up watching Webster too, because he played so long. I'd have to give the edge to Webster simply because he played on 4 Super Bowl teams and he was the first ballot Hall of Famer, I believe.
Yeah.
And Dirt, it took him a little while longer, but I think in his case, some Super Bowls would have helped him. So that's probably unfair to him. But I think you have to go Webster 1, Dawson 2, and of course Maurkice 3 at this point. And then as far as the other two, as far as Hardings, that's a forgotten guy. I mean, that's a guy that gets lost in the shuffle because he's not a Hall of Famer and didn't play here for very long. But he was a great free agent pickup in 2001, I believe, and he played all the way through till Super Bowl 40. He was a great member of that line, so I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he did when he came here. And then of course Ray Mansfield, we can't forget about him. He was a pretty decent center for a number of years. So I think
ignoring him for a reason.
Okay.
Tune in on the next show. No. I love the Ranger.
Yeah, I know.
Tune into the next show
Right.
because he is going to be featured on that show. But yeah, I should have not ignored him. I would probably put him at number 5.
Mm-hmm.
So let's put Ray at number 5. Let's go ahead. Have to put Hardings at number 4. And that's tough because Hardings is great. I'm actually going to say Dawson at 3.
Oh,
I put
okay.
Pouncey at number 2. And I'm going number 1, Mike Webster. I've got to. But it's really hard to put Dawson at number 3. He's a Hall of Famer, but Pouncey might be a Hall of Famer.
Right.
They both played in a Super. Well, no, actually, no, they did not.
Yeah, Pouncey.
They're both AFC champions.
He had the high ankle sprain.
Yeah. There's another question. Do you think they win the Super Bowl against the Green Bay Packers in 2010, Super Bowl 45, if Maurkice Pouncey is your center and not Doug Legursky?
Well, I'll put it this way: that the one pick six by Ben early in the game, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't watched that game since. I can't go back and watch it. That's my that's my Super Bowl 30. I love Super Bowl 30, but Super Bowl 45 not so much. But anyway, when he threw that pick, he was pressured right up the middle, if I'm not mistaken, and whether it was the guy. I can't forget it. The guy who was the right tackle, or I'm sorry, the right guard, or Legursky. One of those two was at fault for that. So I think if Maurkice is in there, maybe Ben has a clean pocket and he doesn't throw that pick six. So there's that. But then again, when it comes to Monty, people forget that people talk about Neil O'Donnell and his 2 picks, but Dawson had he had a very horrible snap early in that game when they were driving for a score. He sailed it over O'Donnell's head like 20 yards downfield, and it took him out at least field goal range. So
yeah, I that's gone from my mind.
Yeah, but I'm saying, yeah, it's kind of like trying to handicap it for both of them. They both made it to the Super Bowl. One was hurt, and one made a mistake.
How many teams would like to just have our number 4 all-time center, Jeff Hartman, Jeff Hardings. So Jeff works out, but not like that.
You have HGH, some serious HGH in order to get that big.
So you know what? Really, I mean, that's such a fun question. Yeah. So let's wrap this up with a big bow, and I want to hear from the live chat too. Just a yes or no. Is last year an aberration? Is Maurkice Pouncey going to be back and better than ever next year? Yes, I think so too. And he's probably listening to the show. He's probably like, Tony, Bad, you guys are idiots. I didn't go anywhere. I was pretty good. And so Maurkice, I'll let you know you could come on the show, and then you could berate Tony and I, and we'd love it. But for the record, we're saying that that you're awesome. So don't hurt us.
Hey, I would love to. If I could ever get the courage up, I'd love to talk to Maurkice Pouncey. That'd be great.
Yeah, Tony, I'm telling you, it's just talking to dudes. It's just talking to guys and like your old friends, and it's a lot of fun. Because when it comes down to it, the most fun is talking to them before you go on live, and they're just hanging out with the family. They're just so glad. They're so respectful, and they're so glad to be on the show. And it was really nice. Jordan Dangerfield was great. Zach Banner, Wormley. Those were the guys that we've had on in the last month. Hopefully we get some more guys on here. I'm working on a big one. I'm working on a ghost from Steeler Christmas Past. One of the greats from the 2000s, 2010s team. So hopefully that's going to come into fruition next week. They delayed me a couple of weeks, so I'm going to try next week. So let's just hope on that one. It could be a biggie, but as I tease it, and it might not happen. So just shut up, Bad. So let's take some questions for the show on the Q&A. We're going to go for about 10 more minutes on this show before we transition. I change my shirt and we transition over to another show. So in the live chat, let us know. And remember, if you want to get to the top of the queue, you could always throw in some of your hard-earned money to the Tony Defeo Fund. No, actually, it's the super chat money. And we are probably going to buy Tony a mic if he ever agrees to have one.
I give up. I'll take a mic. I'm just worried about where I would put it.
Well, look, you can't even see mine.
It's to the side.
Yeah, I have mine to the side. I sound pretty good, don't
I? Okay. Well, then never mind. I'll take it.
So, Ezra asks, who's the best wide receiver in Steeler history? I say Gummy Richards. Who's your best wide receiver in Pittsburgh Steeler history?
That run he had was just phenomenal. So as far as just overall talent and just the era, that stretch that he had from, was it 2013 through 18, it's got to be Antonio Brown.
He was absolutely incredible. No rings, though, like Hines got you, like Stallworth got you, and Swan got you. Right. I'm a big Hines guy, you know that. I'm actually a big Gummy Richards guy. On the field, there was nobody more fun to watch, I would think.
Well,
I guess we got to say Gummy, but Stallworth was my guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree. And as far as who my guy was, as far as like if I had to pick one that I would say would be, you know, based on just everything he accomplished, it would be Hines Ward. I mean, 1,000 receptions. And the Super Bowl MVP and team leader and never gave up and everything. But it's hard to argue against Brown and what he did for those 6 years. It was just phenomenal.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I guess you have to say Antonio Brown. It's a shame that he didn't stick around to rival Hines's numbers. And, you know, I mean, if he would have beaten out Hines's numbers, he would have beaten them out fair. So that'd be no problem.
Right.
There was a question way back at the beginning, and I had to ignore because we were on the topic. It's about Martavis Bryant. There's a lot of thought that Martavis Bryant has been talking to the Steelers. There's rumors that they've reached out to him. Would you bring Martavis Bryant in?
I mean, it all depends. I mean, the talent, you can't argue the talent. I mean, it's phenomenal, right? It's just I don't know if he's that much better than the four guys that they have at the top of the roster now, that he'd be able to get a lot of targets, you know. And I think that was one of the biggest problems that he had in 2017 was he wasn't getting the targets that he thought he should get. And ultimately what happened was Juju came along and became the starter midway through the year and never looked back. So I don't know if he would be happy with his role here. You know, that's my only problem with it.
Yeah. Is it better? Is it somebody asked if he would be the number 3 receiver coming in? So that's the question first. Probably if he came into camp, if they signed him, came into camp, of course, it's a very team friendly deal. It is it's not a lot of money. It's prove that you're back. Mm-hmm. And you get a chance. You get a 7th chance or what have you. You get another chance to make it. And this is it. And we saw Darren Waller do it. The tight end for the Oakland Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders. We saw him do it. And he got himself clean, got himself in pretty good shape. Look, you don't complain if you get a second chance. If you do, you're not getting a third.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So, I mean, I think it's worth a flyer. But you said he's not better than the 4 that are here. Is he better than James Washington? If he's healthy and good? He's not that old.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. But I guess it all depends on how invested they are in James Washington to see him succeed. Maybe he's somebody that they've had in their system for 2 years now. Maybe they want to see him. They want to see him succeed and be one of their stars, along with Deontay Johnson. And of course, they just drafted Chase Claypool. So I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting question because you have Juju coming up on a contract year, and he's probably going to be very expensive So I mean, like you said, take a flyer on Martavis Bryant. If he is much wiser in his later years, and as you said, he's not even that old. I mean, it could really benefit them as early as this year, or I mean, I'm sorry, next year, 2021, if Juju leaves. It's interesting to see if they do it.
Snowman says he's not in football shape. Other people said he would be a distraction. Matt Roberts says he'd be a distraction. Let's keep the chemistry we got going. I said yesterday that James Washington could be 1,000-yard receiver, possibly, because I think he has the talent. But I think you get a chance to add a guy like that and see how it shakes out. That's a lot more talent. I don't see him as a distraction. The guy did a ton of weed and possibly then some, but and other things. Who knows? But all I know is that if he's clean, give him a shot. Now, here's a great question from Reed Overend, our good buddy Reed. He says, if you had to choose between Bryant and Josh Gordon, who are you going with?
Wow. I don't know. I'd probably have to go with Bryan on that one, because Josh Gordon, I think he's one more violation away from being done forever. Although we said that about him before. I don't know how that works anymore.
But he played last year.
Yeah, he played last year.
He's played and he hasn't been doing much of anything. So that could be Bryan too, or you could be a Waller. So there you go. Dave Shipley says he's better than Electric Football Man. I'm telling you, and I know Lance is out there, Dave, Electric Football Man, Ryan Switzer, he's going to do something. He is going to do something this year. He's going to do something to make them go far in the playoffs. He's going to get a key first down. I'm telling you. Something's going to happen with Switz.
I just want to see him do one thing on offense. He's never done any. I mean, he's dazzled a little bit. At least he did 2 years ago with punt returns. He was pretty good with that for a while, and then he kind of fell off. But I just want to see one big play from him on offense that makes you go, wow. So this is what this guy brings to the table. We haven't seen that in 2 years.
I'm telling you. He's a dad now. He's going to come out, and he's going to come out, and he's going to shock. I'm telling you. Matty from Down Under, I don't think he's going to be a 750-yard receiver this year. I just don't. But I think he's going to get targets. Ben's giving him targets. Ben's got a lot of targets to give out. I think Ben's going to, they need to run the ball 3 times a game at this point for Ben to get all his for everybody to get their targets. But I'm telling you, we will celebrate. We will celebrate like crazy when Switzer does something. And there's my guy. Donald Nolan, thank you. Switzer will be more impactful than you guys think. Yes, I'm telling you. It's pieces of puzzle. One thing that I think about Steeler fans, and I'm a Steeler fan. I'm not a commentator. I'm not an expert. I'm nothing. I'm a Steeler fan. And one thing that we get caught up in a lot is the fact that we want 53 superstars on the roster. Can't have 53 superstars on the roster. You need the pieces of the puzzle. You need the Ryan Switzers. You need the I can't believe I'm going to say this. You need the Daniel McCullers on that team. You need pieces of the puzzle. That's why yesterday on the show, and somebody said they just checked out the show, and good show, and I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun yesterday on the Homer and the Hater. I was just being the Homer yesterday when Lance was off. I said I think they bring Mark Barron back too. And if it's between bringing back Barron and bringing back Bryant, I think you bring back Barron any day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Yeah, I think he's more valuable at this point.
Because depth. I mean, he started nine games last year. You just don't have the depth there.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a veteran deal that I would definitely make. Solarverse says Switz takes one for the team. Remember, they don't win. He took a face mask in Jacksonville, and he didn't take a huge hit to the head. Also, he did take a huge hit to the head also this past year. And here's the thing. The thing about it is if he doesn't do that, they don't beat Jacksonville that year.
Right.
They're not beating him at all.
Right.
Dave Shipley says, gives us $2. Thanks, Dave, so much. Bold prediction. I appreciate that. Now at this point, I don't know what my bold prediction was. Was it, Switzer doing something huge? You know what? Electric football man, fine. But if it's 3rd and 2 and you've got all these weapons and you can get 3 from Switzer, you get the 3. Move those chains, baby. Move those chains. All right. I tell you what, it has been a great show. I appreciate everything. I don't see any more questions coming in. So want you to, we're going to check out for, I'd say 90 seconds and then come back in. And what we're going to do, we're going to have a really fun show. We're going to call it the No Pro Bowl Prediction Show. So that's what it's going to be. We are going to start with the offense this week, and we are going to take the all-time Steelers from, let's just go from 1969 and up, the Chuck Noll era and up. The modern era is what I call it. And what we'll do, we'll take those 51 years and we'll have the all Steeler team that never went to a Pro Bowl. And when you see some of the names on here, you're going to be shocked. So it's going to be great. But once again, we can't do any of these shows without our wonderful audience. Thank you, everybody in the live chat, from Jerry Cherry Band, Ezra, Big H, Dave Shipley. Those are the names I'm seeing on the screen right now. And everybody else that came in. We love you guys and gals. You are huge for us, and we can't do these shows. It wouldn't be fun without you. We'd just be talking. Tony and I in the blog talk days, we would just talk to ourselves, and every once in a while we'd get Melvin or Bryce or Vito or Nick or Ken coming in. So and they talk to us, but it was just me and Tony talking. Now we get to talk to all you guys.
All these people, all you guys.
So it's awesome. So for Tony Defeo, my name is Bryan Anthony Davis. And to quote the great, and I'm talking the great, Rowdy Roddy Piper, just when you think you know all the answers,
we keep changing the questions. Don't change that dial. Be back in 2 and 2.
We'll see ya. Oh, Chuck Woolery, nice.